to learn more about these strange lights. All right, we're going to start reading our story called The Planets by Gail Gibbons. Now, this is an expository nonfiction. Remember, we've learned about expository nonfiction before. It gives information about a topic. So this is true. Nonfiction means that it's not fake. And we're learning about it. Expository means it's teaching us about it. So it's going to have captions and labels that tell about illustrations and facts and details that help you learn about a topic. The Planets by Gail Gibbons. On a clear night when stars shine brightly, you might see what looks like another star. But each night it changes position in the star patterns. It is a planet. The word planet comes from the Greek word meaning wanderer. A planet is different from a star. People can see a planet because the sun shines on it. A star shines because it is made up of gases that give off light and heat. Our sun is a star. Nearly every star is much bigger than the biggest planet. In very early times, people knew of 6 planets. They were Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. These people named most of the planets after Roman goddesses and gods. Later, within the last 200 years, 3 more were discovered. They were Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We look up here on this caption. Remember, that's an attribute of expository nonfiction to have pictures with captions to teach you about a topic. It says the solar system includes the sun and everything circling around it. Planet Earth is where we live. It is one of the planets that circle the sun. Together they make up the main part of the solar system. The word solar means connected to the sun. The planets circle around the sun in paths called orbits. The time it takes for a planet to travel around the sun is its year. Each planet's year is different. So our year on Earth is 365 days, but other planets have different amounts of time for their years. Maybe more days, maybe less days. But for us, we have 365 days because that's the amount of time it takes us to orbit or circle around the sun. While a planet is orbiting around the sun, it is moving another way too. It spins or rotates. Remember, that's a vocab word, which means it's spinning around. The time it takes for the planet to rotate is called its day. Each planet's day is different. While a planet is rotating, part of it faces the sun. It is daytime there. On the other side, it is nighttime. So we think about Earth. It takes us 24 hours to go in a circle. And for half of the time, we're facing the sun, which is our daytime. But the other half of the Earth, while we're facing the sun, is not facing the sun. And that makes it nighttime. So that's why it might be daytime for us, while it's nighttime for another country on the other side of the Earth. People can look up on a clear night and might see Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. A planet looks like a steady point of light, which means that it's staying the same. It's not blinking. You just see the light all the time, never changing. A star twinkles, which means it is changing. It's not steady. A telescope is needed to see Uranus and Neptune. They are very far away from planet Earth. A telescope enlarges the image. So this is a telescope and you use it to enlarge or make the image bigger so you can see something from far away and make it much bigger, kind of like a magnifying glass would do. Mercury. Of the planets, Mercury is the planet closest to the sun. It is about 36 million miles away from the sun. During the day, it is extremely hot. During the night, it is bitter cold because Mercury doesn't have any atmosphere to keep its heat from escaping. Mercury is the second smallest planet and is made up of rock and metal. 1 year on Mercury is only 88 Earth days. That's how long it takes for Mercury to orbit the sun. Only 88 days. Mercury rotates very slowly, so its days are very long. A day on Mercury is 59 Earth days. An atmosphere is a layer of air. So we were talking about how Mercury doesn't have any atmosphere. So there's no air to protect it from the heat of the sun or to keep it warm from when it's not facing the sun. Venus. Venus is the second planet from the sun. It is usually the brightest object in our sky other than our sun and moon. At sunrise and sunset, it looks like a big, bright star. It is bright because Venus has a cloud cover that reflects the sunlight. These clouds are made up of gases. Venus is about 67 million miles away from the sun. It is hot here. Venus is almost the same size as planet Earth. 1 year on Venus is about 225 Earth days. A day on Venus is about 243 Earth days long because Venus rotates very slowly. On Venus, a day is longer than a year, and a year is shorter than a day. Crazy. Earth. Earth is the third planet from the sun. It is the only planet known to have just the right environment for plants, animals, and people to live in. Earth is 93 million miles from the sun. Planet Earth has just enough gravity to hold its atmosphere around it. Earth has a moon. The moon causes the tides to change, making them rise and fall. Earth orbits the sun in about 365 days to make an Earth year. It rotates every 24 hours to make an Earth day. A moon orbits a planet. It has no light of its own. It reflects sunlight. So remember, we said that reflects, like when something reflects, the light bounces off of the surface instead of passing through it. Mars is the fourth planet from the sun, about 142 million miles away. People wonder if there was ever life on Mars. Although the surface of Mars is dry now, it once had rivers and perhaps even an ocean. In 2004, the Mars Exploration Rover mission sent 2 robotic vehicles to examine the planet's surface. Remember, that word surface means like the top of Mars. So they're not digging down beneath the top of Mars. They're just on the very top, the surface of Mars. Scientists may still find evidence of life forms. Now, I want to take a little second to say that in the Bible it says that God created life on earth, but we don't have any evidence, no proof of life anywhere else. And if God didn't say it in the Bible, it probably didn't happen. Now, we don't know for sure, but as we study the Bible, we can know that God only created life on earth. So they may find evidence of life forms. They think they might still do it, but they probably won't. Astronomers believe that Mars looks red because iron on its surface has been rusted by the planet's thin atmosphere. It is very cold and is a little more than half the size of the planet Earth. Mars has 2 small moons. 1 year on Mars is about 2 Earth years. A day on Mars is about as long as a day on Earth. So our days are about the same, but it takes them about 2 years, our years, to get around the sun. Jupiter. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the sun. It is about 484 million miles away. It is huge. It is bigger than all the other planets put together and has rings. Jupiter is mostly made up of gases. Some of the gases form a giant red circle called the Great Red Spot. At least 63 moons orbit around planet Jupiter. We only have one. Jupiter has 63. One moon, Ganymede, is the biggest moon in the solar system. It is bigger than planet Mercury. Another moon, called Io, has many active volcanoes. One Jupiter year is almost 12 Earth years. It has short days, just under 10 Earth hours long. Rings are made up of rock, bits of ice, and dust. So the rings that are going around Jupiter are made up of little pieces of rock, bits of ice, and dust. Saturn. Saturn is the 6th farthest planet from the sun, about 887 million miles away. It is the 2nd largest planet. Saturn's hundreds of rings make it look different from the other planets. The rings are made up of ice. Some pieces are as big as houses. On Saturn, it is extremely cold. Saturn has at least 46 moons. Titan, its largest moon, is the only moon in the solar system with an atmosphere and clouds. It takes almost 30 Earth years for Saturn to orbit the Sun, and it rotates in about 11 Earth hours. So it's spinning around, rotating a little bit faster, but it takes 30 years for it to get all the way around the Sun. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun. It is about 1.8 billion miles away. It is so far away that from its surface, the Sun would look tiny. Uranus has 10 rings. Uranus is the 3rd biggest planet, about 1/3 the size of the planet Jupiter. At least 27 moons orbit around it. Planets farther from the Sun have longer orbits. They take more time to travel around the Sun. For Uranus to make one orbit takes about 84 Earth years. Uranus rotates in about 17 Earth hours. Neptune. Neptune is the 8th farthest planet from the Sun. It is about 2.8 billion miles away. Neptune appears to be blue. It looks blue because of a gas in its atmosphere. It is almost the same size as Uranus. One of Neptune's 13 moons, Triton, is about the same size as planet Earth's moon. The spacecraft Voyager 2 visited Neptune in 1989. One Neptune year is 164 Earth years, and it rotates in about 16 Earth hours. Pluto. Until 2006, Pluto was thought to be the 9th and farthest planet from the Sun. It is now called a dwarf planet. Sometimes its orbit carries it closer to the Sun than Neptune. At its farthest, Pluto is about 3.6 billion miles from the Sun. It was discovered in 1930. Pluto is cold and small. It is actually smaller than Earth's moon. It has one moon called Charon. 1 year on Pluto is about 248 Earth years long. A day on Pluto is about 6 Earth days long. Here on planet Earth, astronomers search the skies through telescopes. Spacecraft are sent into the solar system and beyond in search of new discoveries. We are always learning about the planets, the stars, and what lies beyond. It is fun to search the night skies for planets and stars from our planet Earth. An astronomer is someone who studies the stars and planets. More about our planets. Mercury, which is bigger than Earth's moon, has a core of iron. Venus rotates in the opposite direction of the other 8 planets. Earth is the middle-sized planet. 4 of the planets are smaller and 4 are bigger than planet Earth. Mars has a very large canyon. It is the biggest in the solar system. It is called Mariner Valley and is 13 times longer than the Grand Canyon in the United States. Jupiter is huge. If Jupiter were a big, empty ball, more than 1,000 Earths would fill it. It is very windy on Saturn. Around its middle, winds blow 10 times stronger than an average hurricane on Earth. When the spacecraft Voyager 2 flew past Uranus in 1986, it had been traveling through space for 9 years. That's older than most of you. Neptune is 30 times Earth's distance from the Sun. Some astronomers have said that studying Neptune from Earth is like studying a dime a mile away. Pluto, now called a dwarf planet, is the only planet that has never been explored by a spacecraft because it's so far away. All right, I want you to look through these questions and read them to yourself and ask them to yourself and see if you can figure out the answers.